Hello, Philip coming to you from Chiang Mai, northern Thailand. It's my new series of videos, Book Corner. This is number 3, and in Book Corner I read out bits from a book that's on my bookshelf, and then I comment based on my understandings and experiences in life. This one is by a chap who died quite recently actually, Thich Nhat Han. He was a famous Vietnamese Buddhist monk who lived in France for many years. He wasn't allowed back in Vietnam after the Vietnam War. And he's written tons and tons of books, and he's one of the most powerful masters the human world has ever had. And this book is a wonderful little book, and it's called The Art of Power. And as you might guess, if we're talking about Buddhism, that's not power to control other people, it's the power over oneself and one's own actions. And early on in fact, chapter 1 is called True Power. As I say, he's a Buddhist, so he spoke a lot of his messaging from the understanding of Buddhism. So in this video, I'd like to read out bits from what he calls the 5 spiritual powers. What most people call power, Buddhists call cravings. The 5 cravings are for wealth, fame, sex, fancy food, and lots of sleep. In Buddhism, we speak of the 5 true powers, 5 kinds of energy. The 5 powers are faith, diligence, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. The 5 powers are the foundation of real happiness. They are based on concrete practices we will learn in this book. So if you like the sound of that, go out and get the book now. Thich Nhat Han. I'll put the information in the comments below the video. So I'm going to read out a little bit from each of those 5 powers just to give you an idea, and then I'll add my own comments after that. So the first power of faith. The first source of energy is faith. When you have the energy of faith in you, you are strong. In the Gospel, Jesus said that people with faith could move mountains. But the word faith is better translated as confidence and trust, because it is about something inside you and not directed towards something external. The Zen patriarch Lin Chi used to say to his students, "You don't have enough confidence in yourself. You go around seeking these things outside. You need to have confidence that you have the capacity to become a Buddha, the capacity of transformation and healing." And then he says, faith is having a path that leads you to freedom, liberation, and the transformation of afflictions. So very, very useful that. Faith is confidence and trust. And we all talk about self-confidence, and it's almost like the mythical pill that everybody pursues, but you can only cultivate your own self-confidence. So I think to have faith, you need your confidence, and the best way in my teaching to gain confidence is to get results. You have to get over the fear of inaction or of action, carrying out something and worrying what other people think. The only way to gain confidence is to do something and to achieve it and to do it well. And even not to do it well, but just to do it where before you were fearful of doing it. So confidence comes from action, so you have to take action. We'll move on to the second one, the power of diligence. The second kind of power is diligence. You are capable of coming back to your best and highest self, but you must maintain this practice. Don't allow yourself to get distracted and forget to practice. So what he's talking about there is if you're confident today, you have to be diligent, and you have to continue practicing and continue doing actions to continue building your confidence. Practice regularly, daily, with the support of your family, friends, and community. This is diligence. If you practice sitting meditation every day, walking meditation every day, mindful breathing every day, mindful eating every day, your practice is nourished steadily, continuously, and this is the second source of power. You are able to practice mindfulness, but your motivation is not to prove that you are able to do it. The point is not to prove yourself. The point is to practice for your well-being and enjoyment. You simply practice and you do it every day. Okay, that's my wife in the background. So yeah, the power of diligence. This is a hard one, and this is why I say that learning is a lifelong activity, because you may learn to do something today, and it's great, and you've got rewards today, but wellness and well-being, it doesn't happen by accident. It only happens by continuously doing work to ensure that we feel well. So diligence is beautiful, because it reminds us that we have to keep doing it. What else? And he talks about doing meditation. Meditation has been misconstrued a lot in the Western world. Walking meditation, eating meditation, sitting meditation. You just sit there and be with yourself. You know, when you're eating, stop thinking about what you're going to do today or what you're going to do tomorrow or what terrible things happened today. Just focus on the food, and in that way you digest the food better instead of digesting all your thoughts. It's not easy to do, but diligence helps us practice. So, the third one, the power of mindfulness. The third power is the power of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the energy of being aware of what is happening in the present moment. When we have the energy of mindfulness, in us, we are fully present, we are fully alive, and we live deeply every moment of our daily life. Whether you are cooking or washing or cleaning or sitting or eating, it is a time for you to generate the energy of mindfulness. And the energy of mindfulness helps you know what you should do and what you should not do. It helps you avoid difficulties and mistakes. It protects you and shines light on your daily activities. Mindfulness is the capacity to recognize things as they are. Now, this is more doable by busy Western people, because meditation is not doing anything else. But mindfulness is just being aware of what you're doing. I have a little story. I was down in one of the islands once, and I was there for a month, and I often went into the little village behind the beach to get some lunch or breakfast or whatever. And I suddenly became aware of this girl that owned a little shop, its own little business, and at 8 o'clock or whatever it was, every morning she came out and she was sweeping the front of her shop. Now, in Thailand you have these lovely little broom type things made out of bamboo and whatever, and I personally love sweeping. It's one of my favorite activities, because it's meditation for me, and I'm sweeping and I'm just enjoying cleaning up the sand or the dust or the bits and pieces on the floor, and it really helps me be mindful and concentrate and focus on the sweeping. And so I think mindfulness is just concentrating on whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's working or talking or whatever. And if you watch Jordan Peterson on his videos, very well known, he speaks from the heart, and other ones do. You know when somebody's speaking from the heart, because they're not pre-planning what they're going to say. They're just speaking as they see fit in that moment. And Jordan Peterson is always just speaking as he thinks at that time. It's clear that he's being very mindful, listening very carefully to the interviewer and what the interviewer is saying. And you can tell the good journalists from the not good ones, because the journalist asks questions and then listens intently and doesn't interrupt. But on the flip side, the person being interviewed, if they've listened carefully to the question, they're not going to come at it with their pre-planned thinking and thoughts. They respond to the question in that context, in that time. So mindfulness applies to whatever we're doing. So it's perfect for the busy person, because if you're busy at work, you're driving somewhere, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. Stop planning the next activity when you get somewhere, but be mindful of the current activity that you're doing. And if you need to sit down, and I'm guilty of it myself, but I come back and remember what I have to do. But if you need to know what you're going to do, or you've got a plan for a meeting or whatever it is, that's fine. Sit down and make that your activity. Plan for the meeting and be mindful of the planning. But when you're driving the car, don't be thinking about being late or anything like that, because then you get angry and you honk the horn and all the other stuff. The fourth one, the power of concentration. Mindfulness brings about the fourth power, the power of concentration. And you can think about this in today's world where attention spans are said to be very short. When you drink your tea, just drink your tea. Enjoy drinking your tea. Please don't drink your suffering, your despair, your projects. This is very important. Otherwise you can't nourish yourself. There are things that you have seen but not very clearly. You can use the power of concentration to experience a breakthrough and see deeply the nature of what is there. Perhaps you have some difficulty, depression, fear or despair, and you want to look deeply into the nature of your affliction to be able to transform it. To do this, you need a lot of concentration. So don't flee from the problem, concentrate on it, work it out. That's me talking. Back to the book. Concentration can help us look deeply into the nature of reality and bring about the kind of insight that can liberate us from suffering. Now, I love this because being an educator and having written my book about all of this kind of thing, insights come from, as he says, the power of concentration. And when we understand something, we're liberated from it. So if I understand why my wife says something that previously always sort of triggered me into some sort of negative reaction, if I understand her better and concentrate and focus on why she says that, maybe I've triggered her. So concentration is beautiful, and I realise that, you know, if I look at this now, when I'm in my classrooms, concentration is everything. I was teaching teachers for 12 years, and every lesson was 3 hours. And my whole focus, my whole objective was to make them, at the end of the lesson, whoa, that 3 hours went quick, can't wait for the next one. That was always my objective. And when we're concentrating and being mindful of what we're doing, we're enjoying it, we're in it, we're not thinking of anything else, we're not getting distracted. And that's when education and life goes beautifully, is when we're concentrating. Obviously, if it's boring, it's difficult to concentrate. Well, don't do the boring thing, but it doesn't take away the power of concentration to do things to the best that we can, and therefore to enjoy and have the joy of doing something the best we can. So I think one of the features of a professional in life, whether that professional works in a university or does the gardening or the plumbing or whatever they do, the professional is the one that concentrates on their work and wants to do it the best they can. He says there are many kinds of concentration we can cultivate. Through concentration on impermanence, we become aware that everything is constantly changing. We may die tomorrow or any time because of an accident. We should do everything we can to make our loved ones happy today. Tomorrow may be too late. With concentration on non-self, the reality that we do not have a separate self, we become aware that suffering is there not only in us, but also in the other person. Not only do we suffer, but so do our children, our partners, our friends, and our colleagues. Concentration on the nature of impermanence, non-self, and interbeing can help us realize great breakthroughs that will bring us the fifth kind of power, insight. And here we are, power of insights number 5. Insight, the fifth power, is a sword that painlessly cuts through all kinds of suffering, including fear, despair, anger, and discrimination. So you may look at our world today and conclude there's very little insight going on. If you are using your powers of concentration, insight allows you to fully see what you are concentrating on. Concentration on impermanence and non-self leads to the insight of impermanence and non-self. Now, I wanted to read out one other bit that I found very important. I don't think I can find it quickly. Well, he says here, insight comes from understanding. There may be elements of understanding in us already, but if we don't have time to be mindful and concentrate, insight won't manifest in us. We need to create the kind of environment where mindfulness and concentration become easy. This is key. It's like preparing the soil so that the flower we plant can sprout. Insight is the kind of understanding you obtain after you've been mindful. It is because of ignorance that we suffer. So those are the 5 spiritual powers that we need to develop to cut the suffering in our life and to begin to put harmony, health, joy, love, compassion, peace, all the things that we want into our life. We find them hard because we're looking out there for them, but we have to look inside. And these 5 spiritual powers are guides, if you like, to remind us what we have to do. And it takes a lot of practice because we've been conditioned to always see everything out there. And we've been conditioned, or we've been, in our schooling we were suppressed from even really being any kind of aware of what's inside us. All the authority in the world is out there. It's external authority. Where's the inner authority? So it needs a lot of work. But for me, that bit that at the end where he said that you need the right environment, it's absolutely true. And in my classrooms, I always focused on creating an environment that was emotionally supportive for my students, but with that basis of the heart not feeling threatened, I then cognitively challenged them. So with lots of tasks, I wasn't teaching, I was making learning happen, I was empowering them to do learning. So a lot of, if you sort of had a bird's eye view of my classroom, you would see most of the time the students are in pairs or small groups discussing particular tasks or doing tasks that I've set them. My job as a teacher was to plan the lesson beforehand and get together various tasks and discussions, and then get my students doing all the work in the classroom. Of course, I did some input at the end, but by that time they wanted to know what I was thinking. So, and the point about my education is that by cultivating the right kind of environment, students would learn and learn very well and gain confidence from their learning, because when you know that you're learning, it just brings tremendous confidence to you. And then you go back out into the world and now you're confident about what you've learned and what you understand and all the insights that you've derived and all the concentration you've practiced, because I would give activities that were not boring. So all of these spiritual powers, without me realizing it, I was cultivating them in my classrooms. But then once they're cultivated in you, you've got very strong foundations and you become very difficult to disturb. And so your confidence comes out of the classroom and into the real world. And now you express yourself. And this is a major way of learning, is expressing ourselves. And in this day and age, in this climate of wokeness and censorship, it's all about not expressing ourselves because of the fear of how people are going to react to us. So, I better stop there, otherwise I'm going to talk for another hour. So let's just remember those 5 spiritual powers then. Faith was the first one, wasn't it? Faith leads to diligence, leads to concentration, leads to mindfulness, and leads to the 5th one, which was insight. Or did mindfulness come before concentration? Doesn't matter. Those are the 5 insights, the 5 powers, and you develop them all and see where you get to. It'll be transformative. If you want help, as it happens right now, and I haven't been recording videos for quite a long time, because I'm building something that I've called the Infinity Learning Academy, and I've written my book on a spiritual revolution, and all of this is designed to act as a guided discovery for people to learn about themselves, to learn what's in their mind and how their mind works, to learn how the body works so that we can treat it like a temple and not ignorantly treat it like a trash can, which is what we all do until we learn for ourselves why and how not to do that. So all these videos that I'm doing, they are in fact they're giving you insights, I hope, and giving you food for thought and things to chew on. But I very, very soon, and I'm talking to you now in October 2023, but bang from the outset of 2024, and for 2 years, I'm now ready to bring my venture into action stations, and that will include training people to do a spiritual revolution, which is a revolution of you, by you, for you. But when you become the better person, when you fulfill your destiny, when you realize your potential, when you act and do things with confidence and courage, and you need a certain amount of courage to get started, to get over the line of worrying about what people think, but the courage leads to confidence, the confidence leads to courage, actions lead to successes or good feelings, and good feelings and successes lead to more actions, and now you're in the virtuous circle, and you're not in the vicious circle of not speaking and not listening. So the final thought in our world today, which is packed full of information that flows at you from every single crevice and corner of the planet, including my video now, the essential thing is to cut through the noise and, okay, use incoming information that will be useful to you and not detrimental to you. And then I think such information is anything that encourages you to develop your own powers of concentration, attention, and awareness, because those are the foundations for transforming ourselves and becoming the human being that we always wanted to be. And when we achieve good things for ourselves, and when we become healthier, more confident, more joyful, more insightful, we become healthier and happier and more harmonious, and then we naturally want to share it with the world. So all your gains from a spiritual revolution become the gains of other humans around you, the whole of humankind and the planet. So a spiritual revolution that I've written about and conceived of benefits the human being and humankind. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." See you next time.